Perfect. Okay, now, Kayla, if you are good, and if you enjoy Dungeons and Dragons and you want to play again, I've got a special present for you.
Ooh.
Which is apparently in mirror, but it's spell cards for a paladin. Right? Now, I got some of these. Charlie, have you got yours out?
I haven't, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I've got mine out, and they're great. Look, you get all these cards. Yeah, I've got a box of these. I've got arcane ones. It's like 12 packs of cards. But for example, I've got here Mage Hand, it says. And it tells me everything about the spell Mage Hand, casting time, range, duration, components. Tells me everything that I can do with it, everything, all the limitations and everything like that. So I've created a character, and he's a magic caster, and these are all his spells. You see, so at any time I can just be like, right, okay, have I got anything that I can use right now? You know, and just go through the cards. So if Kaylee, if you enjoy playing and you want to play again, I will send you this box of paladin cards, but only if you serve Asmodee as well. I don't know. There is no only if. You do what you want. Now, if I click here and do this, am I going to still be able to operate the game? Yeah, I can use pan mode. That's good. Okay. This is probably where we're going to start. Where I'll sort of cut things in. Hello. This podcast involves adults using adult language. You have been warned. This podcast features adults using adult language, and in Charlie's case, possibly adult-themed acrobatic movements. You have been warned. Now, today we're going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons, and as you can probably see from what I've got up here, we're going to be playing Acquisitions Incorporated, which seems to have either been moved off of the map. There we go. There it is. Acquisitions Incorporated.
Oh, I prefer the old one.
Oh, I like this one.
I liked Aqua Inc.
Inc. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Well, Acquisitions Incorporated is a long-running phenomenon of Dungeons and Dragons. It was the thing that brought Dungeons and Dragons out of the living rooms and basements of nerds and into the rooms of anybody anywhere that wanted to listen to it, because it was one of the first podcasts that involved Dungeons and Dragons. And it was not only was that part of the reason, also one of the lead developers of Dungeons and Dragons was the Dungeon Master. So he was very, very capable. His name was Chris Perkins, and he was very much involved in the creation of the Acquisitions Incorporated universe. Now, a few years ago, Chris Perkins hung up his Dungeon Master's cap, not permanently, but just for the Acquisitions Incorporated A-team, and passed that role over to a different member of the Dungeons and Dragons company, who was in fact the lead rules designer, whose name escapes me at the moment. But because the lead rules designer of the whole of Dungeons and Dragons is the Dungeon Master for Acquisitions Incorporated 18, it's kind of considered that any rules that he creates during the game are canon rules, at least by people who like Acquisitions Incorporated. And indeed, if he says something is canon whilst the game is running, it is canon, and that's just it. So we're going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons edition 5, but with the addition of some rules that have come out of games of Acquisitions Incorporated, broadcast by Penny Arcade and at Comic-Cons all across America in front of thousands and thousands of people who all go mad whenever anyone says green flame. It's probably something that you don't know. And they also chant blood, blood, blood. And ever since a character called Bobby joined, they also chant cheese, cheese, cheese for some reason. Because this barbarian is obsessed with cheese and nothing else. Acquisitions Incorporated is kind of goofy. It's not taken as seriously as some people may take games of Dungeons and Dragons. It's made with the intent of making you laugh and making you or helping you to grow attached to the characters. Now, because we're playing with Charlie, and I've lost Triazamine, but I'm sure she'll be back soon. Because we're playing with Charlie, Charlie is our resident rules expert of Dungeons and Dragons. As
slightly better than nothing.
Well, as he has played much more than anybody else here, and I'm our resident law expert.
Don't.
And I'm also your dungeon master. So I will be leading you through this story.
It won't work.
Now, Drayan, you having problems?
No, Kayla's not listening. I've just tried loading it before. It won't load.
Charlie, let's get drinks.
That's your house.
Oh, they're in.
How am I supposed to get out?
Oh.
How the fuck are you supposed to get out?
I can climb.
We're causing a domestic here, Charlie.
I'm not doing anything.
Dungeons and Dragons causes domestic problems. It's Dungeons and Domestics.
With professional road torture.
Now, Dre, this is brilliant because you're completely on your side, and Kayla's thing is just going to be spinning forever. When I upload this to YouTube, I'm just going to get loads of people just commenting, "This is the least professionally produced game of Dungeons & Dragons I have ever seen in my life."
It's our first one. You got to allow it.
It is our first one. It's not. Viewers should know that this is not only Dre and Kayla's first time playing Dungeons and Dragons, and me and Charlie have dumped them in at the deep end, making them level 5 characters, not even giving them a chance to experiment with level 1s. So they are going to be very much the wards of Charlie and I.
We are the noobs.
You do you guys.
Charlie's just going to leave you to it. He's not going to bother. Kayla, would you hang up on your phone?
We apologise.
Kayla?
So what?
Turn my headset up.
Your phone is still trying to connect to... I don't know, can Kayla hear me?
The issue that we're having, when I go onto the map, it cuts my camera on Discord.
What we'll do is, if you just hang up, then we'll have you and Dre on one camera, and I won't have a thing that says you trying to connect for the next 4 hours.
Bye.
Cheerio.
Well,
Ray, that's much better. Okay. Now, Dre and Kayla, you both have with you sets of dice that I have sent to you. Dre, I think yours were green, and Kayla, yours were purple. I hope you're very pleased with those.
Yes, very.
oh joy.
Even though, Charlie, they had to pay the postage because I didn't pay enough, I didn't put enough stamps on it. How much did that cost you? Like £1.50?
I know. Give me a sec, sweetheart.
It's quite funny. That's how much the dice cost me.
Right, can you grab my phone?
Charlie,
Pull the headset
Yep.
out.
I think we're going to have to change the name of your character. You can no longer
give me 2
be
seconds and I'll
a
do it.
human
Give me 2
called
seconds.
Christopher. You have to be a grung called that noise that you just made. Happy with that?
You're gonna have to give me
No.
a second to hear the pump here. I'm gonna have to unplug my headset
Alright,
after I finish rolling my cigarette.
cigarette.
Yep. Your exotic cheroot, Dre. Let's if possible, let's not use headphones because then Kayla won't be able to hear what's going on.
Yeah. I need to unlock my phone.
And Kayla is a more important character than she realizes.
Woohoo!
At least Triezamine, whose name I literally had to write out phonetically.
Oh, come on, change colour.
Check it out. I got halfway through the story, and I was just like, right, I have to write this down. So I wrote Triezamine as it's spelled, and then underneath I just wrote TREE dash EZ dash A dash MEEN. Triezamine. Okay, good. I've got that now. Okay.
You just have to break it up.
It is a name completely made up by me, and it means me.
Very good. Charlie's name was a name completely constructed from no real awareness of poetry or literature, but just a desire to expose other people's lack of knowledge of poetry and literature as well.
Fair assessment.
I have a character in this game who I intend to play as long as Charlie doesn't kill me in future games, and I actually rolled all of their abilities with dice and they came out huge, apart from the fact that my wisdom score is higher than my constitution score and I'm a magic user, so that will be a bit weird. So
That'll be fine.
okay, let's talk about how Acquisitions Incorporated works. In Acquisitions Incorporated, they like to talk about it like a movie. So they talk about where the camera is, what the camera is focusing on. They say the camera pans back or the camera pans in on someone's face to see their expression. Now, in this case, the camera is looking directly out from Christopher's eyes. Christopher, you blink to try and see through the fog that seems to have come across your eyes, as if you have cataracts, and everything is grey, But as you blink through it, you start to be able to make out things around you. Tell us a little bit about your character, Charlie. Christopher.
Last thing I remember is an argument, something to do with a bill in a restaurant or a bar, and yeah, it was it was a fairly heated argument, and then
Who was the
that's
argument
the
with?
last thing I remember. So
Who was the
that wasn't
argument?
important.
Who was the argument with, Charlie?
It was with some colleagues of mine.
Oh, so you were working at the restaurant, stroke bar, stroke tavern, stroke
No.
inn. Oh, okay.
No, I was just there drinking. It was after work.
So you were having an argument with your D&D party.
I was having an argument with my colleagues.
Okay, with your colleagues.
Yeah.
And what were they your colleagues in? What I understand you're a
they
bard.
were fellow musicians. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Except for one. Except for one that was just a drug addict.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
So
okay. So it sounds...
courtesy of the shock of that being the last thing I remember, I sit bolt upright first off.
Right. You sit bolt upright. Well, you'll be interested to find that you're already standing up.
Ah.
As the
Well,
fog,
then I bow forwards apparently.
as you fall over. As the fog begins to clear from your mind, as you realise it is not your eyes that are fogged up, but rather your mind. There's a strange ringing in your ears, very loud ringing in your ears that almost prevents you from hearing the voices of the throng around you. You reach up to your ears to see what this could be, and you feel something sticking into your head. What do you do?
Well, first off, I stand straight up again because I realise I'm staring at the floor, having tried to sit bolt upright.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel around, see what the object sticking out of my head is.
Okay. And what does it feel like?
Feels like the handle to a dagger.
Right. Okay. So this might explain why you are as shall we say, Charlie, having a strange experience. As the fog begins to clear from your mind, although the ringing in your ears is still it's like psychic pain in your brain, in your mind. You see around you a crowd of people. These people are pressed up together, pressed up next to each other, very closely. And it occurs to you that maybe this situation would be easier to understand were you not to have a dagger sticking out of your head.
Yes, that did occur to me.
Right. Okay. But you're going to leave the dagger there, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm going to take out the dagger.
You're going to pull the dagger out of your head. Okay. Well, good news is that the ringing in your ears stops. The psychic pain that you were feeling previously in your mind or in your brain or wherever it was that you were feeling it, as you remove the dagger from your temple, you feel slightly better. Now you awake to find yourself in a crush of bodies. There is much wailing. And there are people seeking an exit. But
When you say whaling, do you mean like the Japanese do?
no, I mean with an AI.
Okay.
Make an
So I
artificial intelligence joke? Too late. Okay, now, okay, you begin to remember the bar fight. Touching the dagger that you hold in your hand, you realise that you, Charlie, you, Christopher, are dead.
Don't like that.
As you look around at the crowd around you, wailing, pushing one another, seeking an exit, you ask yourself, can this really be the afterlife? You begin to study those around you. You see many many are similarly afflicted by fatal wounds. What do you do?
Does anyone else happen to have any weaponry on them?
None that you can see.
No?
Not. What's your passive perception?
Let's double check that. Wrong button. Sorry. I have too many things open. Where have you gone? Why aren't you there?
Should be first page. Just
Yeah,
right
no.
at the bottom on the
10.
left.
There we go. Sorry. Yeah, 10.
10. You can see many of these wounds seem to have been inflicted by sharp instruments, or perhaps even blunt instruments in some cases. So you see people with their heads caved in, but nobody seems, whatever from your cursory examination, it seems as though all the weapons that killed these people were removed afterwards.
Damn. In that case, can I start swiping at the people that are currently there with the dagger?
You could try, but just as you begin to swipe, previously unseen, because it comes from above you, and your passive perception is only 10, and you've been looking at people around you. Previously unseen, a giant hand reaches into the throng and carries away a nearby member of the crush of people. Through the smoke and steam, as you look up following the long arm, you see a huge, infernal pit fiend lifting the unfortunate chosen stranger and placing them on what appears to be a giant anvil. As you watch, the pit fiend raises an enormous smith's hammer, pauses for a moment with the hammer high above his head, then brings the hammer down hard onto the anvil. In this one motion, the unfortunate stranger's body is smote flat onto the anvil. But this does not seem to end the stranger's suffering. As you see, rising from the remains, a spiritual figure, screaming in agony. A scream you will never forget. You want to look away, but you are transfixed by this image of horror. What do you do?
So, I've still got a loot on me, right?
You do have a loot.
Okay. In that case, I bring out the loot and look at the big creature and say, "Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please, 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 please don't kill me."
It's a very jaunty tune. And in some situations, this may very well have brought you some joy. This may have actually helped you But in this situation, the wailing and the sound of the throng about you is loud enough to drown out the sound of your lute and your singing. As you continue to carry on singing, you see the pit fiend brings down its hammer again and again onto the anvil, and with each blow the wailing of the soul becomes more quiet, although no less blood-curdling, until there is silence, save the whimpering of some of the members of the crowd, unable to contain themselves at this sight. The pit fiend reaches down to the anvil, and between the nails of its giant fingers lifts a silver disc. Make a perception check.
Being 13.
13. Very good. Okay, the pit fiend is holding a freshly minted silver coin. You see the pit fiend briefly inspect its handiwork before casting the coin into a hopper on his right. As it falls down the tube, you think you can almost hear the screaming of the soul as it bounces away to wherever and whatever fate awaits it. The pit fiend turns and looks again in your direction. What do you do?
Right. So, first off, I cast Mage Hand.
Very good. So you cast a spectral image of a spectral hand that can move up to. I'm explaining this for Dre and Kayla, and also for the audience. You cast a spectral hand.
Yep.
A floating hand appears at a point you choose within range. The hand lasts for the
Yep.
duration or until you dismiss it as an action. The hand vanishes if it is ever more than 30 feet away from you. You can use
Yep.
an action to control the hand. You can use the hand to manipulate an object, unlock a door or container, slow or retrieve an item from an open container, or pour the contents out of a vial. You can move the hand up to 30 feet each time you use it. The hand can't attack, activate magic items, or carry more than 10 pounds.
Correct.
That was just for the benefit of Dre and Kayla, and also for the benefit of any audience members who may not know. Let's get out of the meta game. You've cast your spectral hand, your mage hand. What are you going to do with it?
I can't do anything with it this turn. It's taken up my action. So
You're
use my
not
bonus action.
You're not in initiative.
Yeah, fair enough. That's true. Yeah, I go and try and retrieve one of these silver discs.
It's further than 30 feet away.
How far away is it?
60 feet.
How far away is the anvil?
30 feet.
Sorry?
About 30 feet. It's
Okay.
more up than away. It's up onto the anvil.
Yeah. All right. Well, then it goes up to the anvil.
Okay, very well. I've just written here Charlie's name. The pit fiend reaches down and plucks you, Christopher,
Yep.
among the throng. The pit fiend lifts you up and places you laid down flat upon the anvil.
Dre's just gone to answer the door. There's someone at the door.
That's fine.
Cool.
What do you do, Charlie? What do you do, Christopher?
I
Would rather Charlie.
return to my previous efforts.
What does Christopher do? You have your mage
He
hand.
returns to his previous. He returns to his previous efforts of singing "Please Don't Kill Me," but adds in the word "pretty."
Oh, pretty fiend, please don't kill me. Oh, pretty please don't kill me.
Yes, pretty
Okay.
please don't kill me. Pretty please don't kill me. Pretty please don't kill me.
Okay. The pit fiend is somewhat taken by this briefly, as it's
In that
rare
case,
that it
use the
has
second
seen
verse.
it has seen people beg for
In
their
that
lives.
case, there are two pretties.
Right. Okay.
Pretty, pretty, please don't kill me. Pretty, pretty, please don't kill me. Pretty, pretty, please don't kill me.
Well, you've definitely paused the fiend in its activities, but only momentarily. It has seen people beg for their lives before, but never in such a pathetic manner, nor using
Thanks.
nor using instrumental sounds that it considers to be so abhorrent.
Yep.
The pit fiend raises its hammer, and
So how far away is the place where the discs are now?
well, the hopper is about 30 feet away, but the coin that was thrown into it is far down the pipe by now.
Okay, I use my I use
Yeah, I'll join the call.
I use the mage hand to go over to the hopper and just hover above it,
Okay,
at the entrance to the hopper.
as if in the hope of catching a coin that might be thrown into
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, the pit fiend restrains you on the anvil. We've lost Dre and Kayla.
Yeah, they'll be back.
Yeah, I've had to join on my phone because Dre's, someone's knocked on the door and needs to use Dre's phone.
Okay, that's fine. The introduction is mostly to do with Charlie, but it would be good for you to hear it, as this is something that otherwise you would never know, and it is only through the camera of Acquisitions Incorporated that you are able to see this. The camera now having moved away from Charlie's eye view and now takes in the anvil, Charlie being restrained, Christopher being restrained on the anvil, the pit fiend looking somewhat confused, bemused, maybe even a little amused. But nevertheless, the pit fiend raises its hammer and, taking slightly longer to consider your actions than it had with the previous victim, the pit fiend brings its hammer down. But before the hammer reaches you, you feel a tingling
Trying to say
sensation.
before.
You feel
I was planning on doing something.
Ah, well, I'm sorry, Charlie. I'm sorry. Yes, Charlie. You feel a tingling sensation, and you blink. As you open your eyes after blinking, you awaken in another room. The camera pans back to take in the room. Just says at the top of this page, scene 2. As you look around, the first thing you take in about this room is red, with black motifs on the walls. One of the one door to the room is guarded by a spiked devil. Spines protruding from every part of its body, its expression seems to be mostly one of boredom, but it keeps its eyes fixed on you. You find yourself standing. In front of you is a large table that appears to be being used as a desk. Well-arranged papers and scrolls cover its surface. The top
There a
of
typewriter?
There is no typewriter, but there is. Your passive perception does allow you to see that there is a quill, and that quill is next to a bottle of ink. Apparently red ink. The top of the table is about level with the top of your chin. So it's a very high table, but you can see what's on it.
Right.
Just about. As if you were peering along a plane. So you're not looking down onto this table.
Right.
And you're not looking up
Can I,
so that you couldn't see anything. You're
can I ask
looking...
the
I'm leaving. Dre's back.
Hey,
No.
Dre's back. Okay, so we've got our people. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Charlie, Dre, you've missed that Charlie is now in a room that is red with black motifs on the walls. He's being watched by a spiny devil who is watching him with an expression of boredom but blocking the one door to the room. And he seems to be in front of what appears to be a table that is being used as a desk. The table is high enough to be so level with Charlie's chin so that he can just about see what's on the table. And Charlie has asked if he could see a typewriter, but there is no typewriter, although there is a quill made of a feather and a bottle of what looks like red ink.
Can I ask the spiny-looking bored devil?
You can in a minute, once your passive perception has taken in everything that it naturally would. Beyond the table, you see a 13-foot devil, very well dressed in a jewel-studded robe. He is talking into a portal about 2 feet wide in the wall to your right. Now, I'd like you at this point, Charlie, and before you do anything else, I'd like you to roll a perception check. You rolled a 4.
Ooh. That's not good.
You see nothing. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Can I now take an opportunity to ask the devil-looking person, what's with the quill with the red ink, and how do I not die?
He says, I just work here.
I try and say, I know you've had a hard day. I know you're probably bored of this and you get asked it all the time, but just as a favour to me, can you just answer these couple of questions for me?
You think I'm going to be the one answering questions here?
All right.
Says,
If you answer my questions, I'll be more forthcoming with my answers.
whilst you're asking all of this to the spiny devil who is guarding the door, and clearly not the person who knows shit in this situation, you miss the entire conversation that is going on between the bejeweled devil and the portal in the wall next to him. The last thing you hear him say is, I demand 9%.
9% of what?
Well, if you hadn't been having a conversation with the spiny devil, You may have been able to have heard more information from the tall devil.
No, I turned to the bejeweled one and asked, "What 9% of what?"
The tall devil raises its left hand to its face. Let's have a look. The tall devil raises a finger without looking at you in your general direction, as one might do to say, "Give me a moment," and you find yourself paralyzed, unable to move or make any sound save to move your eyes.
I roll my eyes.
You roll your eyes in disbelief. or in annoyance. What sort of
More annoyance.
What sort of role is this, Charlie? What sort of roll by the eyes is this?
Teenage girl sort of a role.
Say, repeat that.
A teenage girl sort of a role.
Oh, teenage girl being called out of a called out of a line in the school for talking whilst they should have been listening.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you see the tall devil raises its left hand to its face, and you see it is holding a martini glass.
Ooh.
The devil takes a small sip from the glass and appears to be savouring the flavour, apparently in no hurry to finish the conversation. Now, although you are paralysed...
My eyes now look at my martini glass in desperation.
Although you are paralysed, Charlie, you are able to move your eyes, and so I would say you were able to make any kind of skill check that did not require you to move. So that would be, for example, Arcana, Perception, Wisdom, Insight. Before this devil concludes its conversation.
Okay. Can I turn my eyes into sort of puppy dog eyes and do a persuasion check just with my eyes?
In order to turn your eyes into puppy dog eyes, you would have to be able to move your eyebrows and various muscles in your face. And because those are paralyzed, no, you cannot do that. And even if you could, it wouldn't really be a persuasion check because you haven't asked for anything. So I'm going to say no.
Fair enough.
You still have a bit more time before the conversation is over.
Okay. Let's go with... have I still got my mage hand with me, or is that gone now?
That as soon as you moved more than 30 feet away from it, it disappeared.
Yeah, so it's taken. Yeah, it didn't spell with me. Go with an Arcana check.
Okay, that's good. Also, I would like to point out that Mage Hand is vocal.
Yeah.
I
can't just look in the direction.
These cards are freaking brilliant. You would like to go with an Arcana check?
Yes.
Ooh, Arcana 16. You detect a number of magical items around you. Some of them are on the desk. Some of them are on the walls. Some of them appear to be part of the devil's cloak. The portal and the wall certainly screams magic. In fact, there's so much magic going on in this room right now that it's difficult for you to differentiate one individual item from another. But there is certainly a great deal of magic taking place in this room. You have a chance to conduct one more skill check. The devil appears to be finishing its conversation.
Let's go with
I get before you got 4 for perception.
Hmm?
You got 4 for perception before. I was just wondering what you knew.
Let's go to history.
History. An interesting one. History related to the death of things. 7. You're aware of a book that you read once.
I'm aware of a book.
You remember a book that you read once about the history of different religions, ideas of what might happen after death. Nothing you see here really conforms exactly to any of those views, although you think that you are probably in hell.
Oh, good.
Oh, great.
A religion check may have been a better idea at that point. Okay, the tall devil, he's 13 foot, remember, and bejeweled in his robes,
Yep.
which are red and gold and black. The devil closes the portal with a gesture and turns away from the wall, moves towards the table, and, to your surprise, gently relaxes into the chair that you cannot see because it is not as high as the table, which is level with your chin. Okay. Seemingly ignoring you, the devil gently places the martini glass on the table and casually studies the papers on the desk. Without looking at you, he asks, "Do you know who I am?" You find yourself no longer paralyzed. Roll intuition.
Sorry?
Roll
intuition.
Roll intuition or religion. Your choice.
The answer is yes, I do.
The person controlling the devil is briefly charging his vaporizer. Oh, 21. Religion. Wow. You believe you are in the presence of Asmodeus, Lord of the 9 hells. And what is your answer? He has asked you a question. Do you know who I am? You have rolled a religion
Do you know
check.
who I am? No, sorry. No.
Isn't that from Many Years Art?
Yeah. This is not a game of who the fuck are you?
For I am Asmodeus, Lord Asmodeus. What is your answer? You are no longer paralyzed.
Are you Asmodeus by any remote chance?
The devil seems to casually consider your answer, as if people knowing who he was not really the biggest deal for him. He assumed.
I followed it up with, do you know who I am?
The devil seems to casually consider what you say. Reaching for a long quill on the table, he writes something on the piece of paper on the desk. You suddenly become full aware that this devil is none other than Asmodeus, Lord of the lawful evil and master of all the 9 hells. So you know this now. You also realise that suddenly you can understand some of the sigils and patterns on the walls. You can now speak and understand Infernal. You may wish to add that to your character sheet.
Yep. I'm on it.
Asmodeus leans back in his chair like a person relaxing in their own lounge. Martini glass in one hand.
Can I have a martini?
Hang on a sec. You will get your chance, Charlie. You are somewhat enthralled.
Go on.
You are somewhat in thrall at the moment and unable to interrupt proceedings. Asmodeus leans back in his chair, martini glass in one hand. With the other, raises a piece of paper to study it more intently, front and back. I want you to make a perception check, Charlie. Now that you have an understanding of Infernal, now that you understand Infernal, what do you see now? He is studying a piece of paper in his hand. That's religion,
Sorry.
Charlie.
No, that was my previous one.
Oh, well, I can't see shite. Hang on.
Yeah,
Maybe,
because I haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay, you haven't done it yet.
I was trying to add
Section
Infernal.
19, my God. You know everything.
Lucky.
Okay. That perception check and seeing what he is holding in his hand, you briefly glimpse the words character sheet at the top of the page. And your name, Christopher, just below this. And because your roll is so high, you see many numbers on the piece of paper, but very small. You can just make out the words Charlie Dobson. These words and numbers are meaningless to you. Asmodeus, studying the piece of paper, is not especially bright or wise. It says here that you died in an easily avoidable scuffle in an inn. And yet I think you are just the right person. Pardon me?
So far.
So far. And yet, he says, leaning forward, I think you are just the right person to complete a task for me. Do you know why that is? What do you think? Why do you think you're the right person to complete a task for Asmodeus?
Desperation.
Close.
Expendable.
That too, I suppose. Are these just your one-word answers to Asmodeus, or do you have a sentence that you would like to say?
Because I'd rather not die.
Asmodeus says, the reason I have chosen you is because you have seen the fate that awaits you should you fail me. Many people, many people have pledged their souls to me, but none of them truly understands what that means. Asmodeus reaches into his cloak and retrieves a gold coin. It looks identical to the silver coin produced by the giant pit fiend not 10 minutes ago, but this one is golden. As Asmodeus plays with the coin between his fingers, you think you can hear a far-off scream that makes you stop and shudder. This is not the scream of a man falling, or the scream of a man who has lost his love. This is a different kind of scream, different from any that you have ever heard, except from that one time when you saw
Someone trod on a plug.
someone on the anvil.
Trod on a plug.
Asmodeus suddenly looks at you hard, studying your expression as you react to the coin. Yes, many have pledged their souls to me. He appears to relax, but none have seen the hammer and anvil, nor heard the eternal, exquisite agony of those souls damned to meet them. None except you. Asmodeus puts the coin back into his cloak. Now, because your perception was so poor before, you did not notice a small boy standing next to the table, who steps forward, whose name I've spelt wrong. The small boy, dressed in what appeared to be school uniform clothes and carrying a small satchel, says, "We burn the souls as an eternal fuel source for our machines, sir. Souls are one of the most powerful things to exist in all the planes. More powerful than any magic, sir." Asmodeus waves a hand, says, "Now, tiny team, our friend here does not need to know everything about our world. Just enough to set him on the right path. You see," he says to you directly, Christopher, "I could have waited for a more skilled or experienced adventurer to find themselves on the anvil. But time is a factor in the task I have for you, and so we will have to make do with what we have. Of course, that is not to say that having friends in the Nine Hells does not have its advantages." Asmodeus leans back towards the table, makes a quick flourish with his quill on the paper, or character sheet as you are aware now. You feel a surge of energy inside you. You level up.
Woohoo! Can I do that again, please?
That's what you choose to
I
say?
ask him nicely.
You ask him nicely.
I ask him nicely. And I'm trying to persuade him.
Do that again.
This is a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours situation, Christopher.
Okay, I cast Mage Hand and use it to go around and scratch his back.
If you think I cannot produce my own mage hand to scratch my own back, you are less wise than I even read from your character sheet.
I start playing the lute really nicely, but
You start
with a
playing
bit
the
of
lute.
death metal in there. And
Okay, that's good.
I use the
You'll
and I
see,
use
Charlie,
the Mage
I've
Hand.
actually got,
I use Mage Hand to start doing some like, decent.
Charlie,
like,
I've actually got
drum
a
drum
page
circuit.
marker, and at the top of it says, "You play your lute."
Yeah, but it's some proper heavy metal.
Asmodeus
This is
gazes.
proper heavy metal.
This is the devil's music. This is truly the devil's music you're playing.
Yeah, this is
Or at least an attempt at
and
it.
the Mage Hand's doing the drums.
As good as you can do.
Yeah, Mage Hand's doing the drums.
As good as you can do with a lute. Asmodeus
Yeah.
gazes at you as you play. His smile grows almost imperceptibly wider for a fraction of a second. You get a sense of a devil-may-care attitude emanating from him as he listens to you play. Asmodeus raises an eyebrow as you meet his gaze. Your instrument detonates in your arms. For an instant, you are surrounded in a
Oh.
For an instant, you are surrounded in a 2-meter wide ball of flame, or should we say 6 feet, as we are using feet here. You are instantly surrounded in a 6-foot wide ball of green flame. You take no damage, but your eyebrows are half burnt away.
Okay, I dropped to my knees like that was meant to happen as the finale.
Asmodeus shows no change in his expression as he continues to gaze at you. He watches your
Got that
reaction.
going up in the air as well.
That's good. He watches your reaction. Then he turns back towards the paper on the table. Asmodeus, obviously unimpressed with your musical abilities.
What about the showmanship?
Well, Asmodeus is definitely about showmanship. Certainly about his... He has the golden robes, the gold, red and black robes. Bejeweled.
Yeah, so surely taking my exploding loot as part of my set. That's got to have something.
I think he detonated your loot less as a punishment and more as a pyrotechnic display in the.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah,
Ask him if he can do that more often.
Yes, that's what you think. You ask him if he can do that more often.
I just have a loot that does that all the time. Yeah.
Asmodeus waves your question away and says, "Your task is simple. Your task is relatively simple to explain, but may turn out to be more complex in its execution." Now, I've got to remember to do Asmodeus's voice here. I have an interest in a company in Waterdeep in the Forgotten Realms. A company owned by a man named Ominiphus Hereward Drar. Omin to his friends, if he has any, and even to his enemies for that matter.
Have any?
Omin Dran is the owner of a business that seeks out rare treasures, some of which are of interest to me. A company called Acquisitions Incorporated. There is a suspenseful pause. Asmodeus leans back. Unfortunately for Omin Dran, it seems, fortunately for me, Dran has been absent from his plane for some considerable time. And in his absence, his company has been the victim of, shall we say, a hostile takeover. Quietly, Asmodeus seems distracted for a moment. He looks away from you and towards something else on his table. Omin Dran, in time, will commit his soul to me in exchange for the return of control of Acquisitions Incorporated. But his competition also has powerful allies. Asmodeus strokes
Whilst
his
he's looking away, can I use my mage hand to pick up the quill and increase my level again?
Asmodeus, although he's looking away from you, he is not looking away from his desk. And
Damn.
within his vision is the quill and ink. And his
shot. Can I take it with me?
He brushes away the mage hand like one might brush away a small child who is interfering with somebody who is writing an email.
Okay. The mage hand looks upset.
The mage hand disappears in a puff of smoke.
Oh, can't it just look upset, like it's just been shunned?
I'm an upset mage hand.
Yeah, yeah.
I am very upset. No, the mage hand disappears in a puff of pink smoke.
Okay, now I look sad.
Yes, I'm not surprised. Asmodeus strokes his well-trimmed beard, and for a glancing instinct, you could swear you saw a brief look of uncertainty in his expression, which had up until this moment been fixedly knowing, omnipotent. The moment is broken suddenly as Asmodeus leans forward towards you, steepling his fingers. Your task is simple. Assist Omindran in whatever ways are necessary to take back control of Acquisitions Incorporated and its holdings.
What do I get in return?
We may wish to write this down. Take note of this. I have many followers among the aristocracy of Waterdeep. They will assist you in whatever capacity you require. As your dungeon master, I advise you to write this down.
Yep.
Or just Charlie.
Or at least make note of it in some way.
Yep.
Use your mage hand to quickly scribble it on your ass or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Asmodeus,
is that bit over with?
well, Asmodeus looks back to his desk. Well, that's your task. This is your quest, Charlie.
Yep.
Asmodeus looks back to his desk, picks up his quill, and begins to write on another piece of paper, and studies a scroll. The fiend guarding the door steps aside. What do you do?
Is the portal still open?
No, the portal was closed with a gesture by Asmodeus.
Okay.
And the portal... no, you didn't know anything about the portal because you had a perception of 4.
I sort of scurry around the desk and say, so this way?
Asmodeus looks in the direction that you're pointing. I assume that's towards the door.
Yep.
It says, aren't you forgetting something? Or, in Asmodeus' voice, aren't you forgetting something?
Yeah. Can you get me a better loot, please? You kind of blew up my last one.
Asmodeus puts his head on one side, nods with his head on one side, and then gestures, using only his eyes, to the corner of the room behind you. Asmodeus says, ah, yes, what is a bard without his instrument? You turn towards the back of the room where his eyes are gesturing towards, and there, placed against the wall, is a stringed instrument. As you approach the instrument, you begin to realize that it is subtly different to any lute or lyre you have ever seen. The body of the instrument is ornately decorated in a manner you would never have previously associated with any of the 9 hells. The strings appear to be made from woven metal, and it shines briefly in the red-green light. As you look upon it, Asmodeus says, what do you think?
How many strings does it have?
It has 6 strings.
I like it.
Would you like to study it further?
Yeah, please.
Okay. You'd need no perception because your passive perception is 10 and you're right up close to this thing. The only other indication that the instrument may have hellish origins is a small inscription carved into the top of its body, positioned so that when being played, it may only be read by the one playing or someone very near to him. The inscription is carved in infernal runes and spells out one word: Odyssey. What
Cool.
do you do?
I pick it up and
Pick it
I take it and say, "So good to go now, yeah."
Okay, great. I can skip several pages.
Just yeet those pages out the window.
Asmodeus says so. Show me what you can do with your new instrument. You have an opportunity before playing it. You have an opportunity before playing it to make
I'm going to go with.
You can make any skill check that you wish, but you can only make one.
I was going for something else. Let's go with this.
Okay.
I went for a power chord.
Okay, and Thunderclap I've got here somewhere, but could you describe Thunderclap for me, please?
So, in a true Pete Townsend style, I swing my arm around numerous times before coming down on an awesome
Okay,
chord.
great. You're not using the clap thing.
I'm using the
You're using the power chord.
Yeah.
The drop D power chord.
Yes.
Thunderclap. Okay.
Punch that chord in.
I'm assuming he's going to save the Constitution saving throw, so no one's going to get.
Well, what does it do? Tell us about Thunderclap. Dre and Kayla need to hear.
You create a burst of thunderous sound that can be heard up to 100 feet away. Each creature within range other than you must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or take 1d6 thunder damage.
Okay.
Oh shit.
And what's the Constitution saving throw that Asmodeus, Lord of the Nine Hells?
14.
14, right.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you straight away that because you did not roll a natural 20, you are instantly surrounded by a sphere of green flame that is 6 feet wide. It lasts for only an instant, and you take no damage, but what is left of your eyebrows is burnt away.
Perfect.
You
Excellent.
Now
Even
no
have pyrotechnics with it. That's what I can do with that.
Asmodeus says, you may need to spend some time attuning to it. Do you say anything? Do you say anything? Do you want to make any kind of roll or anything? You get the idea that this is the end of your conversation, and this is going to be you leaving Asmodeus's presence. Is there any checks you want to make? I'll give you an opportunity to make up to 3 checks. Say anything that you want. Do anything that you want.
First off,
There's
I'd like
a
to say
small boy in this room, and you have made no attempt to understand why yet.
It's because it seemed like a trap, Matt.
Okay.
So, first off, I'd like to say thank you. I don't know what this thing is called, but it's very cool, and I like the green flames. Is that always going to happen? Or?
It's clearly called Odyssey because it's inscribed into the top of it. Your
Okay.
passive,
I mean,
your passive intuition, if there is such a thing, your passive intelligence allows you to suss out that this thing is called Odyssey. So you don't need to roll.
Well, let's do one Arcana.
Arcana 13.
One Religion.
Arcana and Religion. Ooh.
And 1 performance.
Before you've attuned to it. Okay. Arcana check. High rolls reveal. Well, you got 13 for Arcana. Okay, I'm going to call that a high roll. It is certainly a magic instrument, but it is of a kind of magic you have never seen before.
Okay.
Religion 9. You think this instrument probably has hellish origins.
Good.
And performance 11. You are instantly surrounded in a 6 foot wide ball of green flame. It does not give you any damage, but any semblance of growth from your eyebrows has been completely wiped out. You are now completely without eyebrows. And Asmodeus says, I told you, you need to attune to it. And he snaps his fingers. And as he snaps his fingers, you see him smile. And you get once again, just briefly, as you wink out of his chamber and off to what some other plane, you get once again that slight feeling of devil-may-care. Something that you were not expecting, but that you have now seen twice. You lose consciousness.
Yay! Do I have to pick up that weapon by any chance?
Which weapon?
Sorry.
What? Do you have to what?
Do I have to add that to my inventory?
Oh yeah.
Do I have to add that?
You now have a magical.
Thing to my inventory.
You now have a magical instrument with 6 strings called Odyssey. Now, Dre and Kayla.
Does that exist or not?
In the Acquisitions Incorporated universe, it is not unusual for the Dungeon Master to create items that have not been featured in yet to be written dungeon guides. Now, we've finished the end of the introduction. So, Charlie's taking a small break. I'm going to take a small break. And we'll be back in 1 or 2 minutes. I'm going to the toilet.
Cool.
Check out my skirt. Do you like it? It's so psychedelic. I mean, look.
Very Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Very Van Gogh. What are you talking about? He used like loads of oranges and yellows. I'm using blues and blacks, man.
It's good.
I'm joking.
I approve.
She used blue
That makes
too.
sense.
Right. Would measure like 2.
We're giving you real.